AI chatbots may end conspiracy theories. Well, probably not, but they may help a little bit. What do you think, Dave? Do you think you're going to be out of work soon? Going to come back up?
No, because I'm funny. I want to see what the 0.8% of misleading claims the chatbot were made, because what we might be watching here is this chatbot just slowly getting pilled by talking to these people. So do you know what the the hypothesis is to why maybe a chatbot would be better than talking to me, other than the fact that I would start making fun of the person?
Google search AI fails Hieronymus Bosch.
So this famous piece, it's going to get resolved because people are going to notice it. But I think like the victims here are going to be like independent artists who you've never heard of.
Hello, how the tech are you? This is our weekly tech show on Echoplex Media. We talk about tech news and science news and whatever other tech and science stuff we feel like talking about. I am historian Matt, and my other co-hosts will introduce himself later, but I am a co-producer, co-host on this show. And so I'll jump right into, I've got two stories, and I'll jump into my first one right now. AI chatbots may end conspiracy theories. Well, probably not, but they may help a little bit. But new research is basically in the US, researchers estimate about 50% of the population believes in at least one conspiracy or outlandish claim. Changing people's minds on these can be difficult, but new research suggests that specially trained AI chatbots may be the solution to getting people to drop their conspiracy beliefs. The chatbot would need to have access to vast amounts of information on a range of topics and would then be able to tailor its argument for each individual person. In this particular case, researchers tested about 2,190 participants who believed in one or more conspiracy theories. The participants engaged in personal conversations with the LLM GPT-4 Turbo. I've never heard of GPT-4 Turbo. I don't know what's the difference between that and GPT-4, but maybe we can talk about that a little bit later. Anyways, the chatbot responded with fact and evidence-based counter-arguments, of which 99.2% of the claims made by the chatbot were later verified to be true. The rest of the claims, the 0.8% of the claims, were considered misleading, which is not entirely false, but none of the claims are actually considered actually false, like completely false. The chatbot seemed particularly effective against the Gish Gallop, in which one person overwhelms a conversation with misinformation. According to researchers, chatbots do not get overwhelmed. What do you think, Dave? Do you think you're going to be out of work soon? Going to come back up?
No, because I'm funny.
Oh, okay. That's true. Chatbots are not known for, LLMs are not known for being funny. I should know. Tried to make them write funny stuff. Doesn't work.
I want to see what the 0.8% of misleading claims the chatbot were made, because what we might be watching here is this chatbot just slowly getting pilled by talking to these people.
Yeah, it didn't sound like they were taking any information from the person, right? It couldn't get pilled, so to speak, right? It actually had access to real and correct information that was probably verified somewhere, hopefully along the line.
So do you know what the the hypothesis is to why maybe a chatbot would be better than talking to me, other than the fact that I would start making fun of the person and the blowback effect would come into play pretty quickly?
Well, if you read the article that I have linked, that will be in the show notes for everybody to look at, they go into more depth. They can't really go into everything here, but the idea was the chatbot was basically instructed to build rapport and then counter any arguments with information, factual based information, right? And it seemed to be that combination of, building rapport and doing what most, anti-conspiracy people do, which is just arguing from facts and evidence-based, information. I have a further theory. They didn't really state it specifically in the article, but my guess is also that some of us who try to debunk some of these conspiracy theories kind of get frustrated and don't exactly kind of lose our patience often. And I think the chatbot doesn't lose its patience as well.
Could it also be that they, just because they're talking to a computer, maybe they don't think the computer has an agenda the way that they would think like a person has an agenda? I mean, I'm just like, I'm way out in the speculation zone here, but I feel like there may be some of that going on too. Yeah,
I think that might, that could be possible. I was also thinking like maybe they think they're talking to a computer, and a lot of people who talk to like these chatbots or LLMs think they're talking to like Google, right? So they may think of it as like an oracle, right? May have more consideration for what it responds with, but that again, that's all speculation. It's not clear from the research that is the case. It's just that this chatbot seemed to actually help and seemed to actually change people's minds on these conspiracies to some extent.
Yeah. Do we have any data on like what percentage of people like throughout the conversation seem to maybe reconsider some of their beliefs?
Yeah. Again, it's in the article. I didn't write down. I believe it was over all of those people, the 2,200 people that they did the test on. Now, not all of these people were like super conspiracy people that believed everything, right? Believed all the conspiracies they come across with, but they said something like there was like a 10% reduction or 10 to 15% reduction in the number of false beliefs that they kept. So about 10% of their beliefs were reduced. And that was after not like a long time chatting with the bot. And, they kind of focused on one belief at a time, apparently.
Right.
I'd
be curious to see how sticky something like this is, because if the person talks to the chatbot and then maybe starts to reconsider, their belief will do chemtrails, right? They start to reconsider whether or not they believe in chemtrails, but then bam, now they're on Facebook and they're in all these groups again. So I'm just wondering how sticky this might be. Yeah,
they seem to claim that it was sticky because they followed up. They don't know how much, but they followed up some number of weeks later, and the lack of conspiracy beliefs, how much they reduced in their number of beliefs actually seemed to persist to some extent. I don't know if all of it. I don't think it was pretty clear from the article like how much stayed, but it seemed like most of their changed beliefs stayed.
Well, that's good. Yeah. I'm not actually worried about this putting me out of a job, because I don't think the chatbot can do a very good job of making fun of somebody who drinks their own pee. So
that's true.
But
maybe,
this is good. If we're gonna like deprogram, and I don't like deprogramming is actually abusive, but if I don't have better word, if we're gonna start changing like minds and hearts and minds of people, like anything that works, and if it gets people to like question maybe something that they came in with a moderately or even very strong belief, even if they leave still holding the belief, but now they're like, I don't know about this. That's pretty good, because that's how it starts anyway. Well, now I don't know. That's generally how it starts. That's how we all change our minds, though, about anything, right?
Right.
Not just people who believe in, people who've been propagandized to believe in false things. I mean, if I change my mind about something, I don't just go, bam, now I changed my mind about it. Unless it's like something that I just get wrong, like on stream, and I say this is the thing, and then somebody's like, no, the thing is this, and I'm like, oh. And they're like, here's a link, and I don't have to check the link. I'm like, well, you're probably right. This is the thing.
Yeah.
But it's usually something incidental, like a fact, like an individual fact about a larger concept or whatever. So yeah. This is great. I'd like to keep an eye on this. Do you know? Was this this sounds like something that would be associated with the Stanford Internet Research Observatory or whatever, but I'm just guessing. Do we know what the group was that did
I don't think it was in the article itself, or I missed it or something, but that did not stick out to me. So I wanted to write it down. However, strangely, there definitely is in the article a link to the specific chatbot that they used. I don't know what that means. I didn't follow up to see if it was, because it sounded like they had to actually like alter the GPT-4 Turbo to do specifically what they're trying to do. And I don't know if that's the altered one or not, or what, but maybe, in the future, if you have some conspiracy theory is to call in, you can have them talk to the chatbot. Although that might not be as entertaining a show. Well,
the other fun thing that might be is, what if they made one that was like, it was so pilled that when they, there's somebody's like, oh, I don't think we landed on the moon, and the chatbot's like, you believe in the moon? Like, maybe that would be effective in a different way.
Right.
But who knows? That's a cool story, though, and you had mentioned that maybe I'd want to cover it, but you did a pretty thorough job, and I'm glad you covered it.
Yeah, it's one of those things that I feel like is more in your wheelhouse kind of thing. But yeah, I'll definitely cover it. But AI stuff is definitely mine. So there we go. I feel like there was something else I wanted to mention, but maybe that's it.
All right, what do you got next?
On to my next one. Let me get it up real quick. So this one is another AI related one. It's Google search AI fails Hieronymus Bosch. So this is basically the first results when people search for the artist Hieronymus Bosch on Google are almost all AI generated images. So basically you're searching for this particular artist, who's actually very famous, and you probably have seen the image. I'll talk about it in a minute, that he's very famous for. And instead of getting the particular painting or images of, it's actually a triptych, not just one single painting. Instead of getting images of that or even details from the painting, you're seeing the AI generated images that were kind of based on the original painting, but are not the original painting and have nothing really to do with it. So basically, but before I move on, I did actually check after writing all the notes, and I went on to Google to do the search, and it seems to be, the issue seems to be fixed now. So if you do search for Hieronymus Bosch, you will not see, at least not initially, see this AI generated image on their search results. But the AI generated images are all versions of Bosch's triptych called the Garden of Earthly Delights. And just real quick, a triptych is a set of 3 paintings which are all painted together and have something in common. And the whole set are usually displayed together. So it's sort of, I mean, it's almost like a comic strip, but it's not necessarily related by time. If you could say, in this case, the Garden of Earthly Delights triptych is depicting the Garden of Eden, Hell, and the Garden of Earthly Delights, each on separate panels. So they all have sort of the religious theme that links them together. But they're, 3 different panels, and they almost sort of are in, chronological order, but not really. It's, again, it's not specific. It's not like a comic, or not exactly like a comic strip. Anyways, the Garden of Earthly Delights, which is the name of the entire triptych, as well as, the subject of just one of the panels. But it's one of the most famous paintings anyone's ever created. And if you know the artist Hieronymus Bosch, you probably know this triptych. Even if you don't know him, you probably have seen either the whole triptych or details, because it's just such a famous thing. And it's very weird. There's a lot of weird stuff going on in the painting, particularly the panel that is supposed to depict hell. And it's strange and weird. I think that's partly why it's being targeted by AI generator or AI artists, I guess you could call them, to make versions of it, because it seems like it's similar. Similar look and feel to AI generated art. But I wanted to bring this up because this is yet another example of AI generated art stealing and replacing human made art. What do you think, Dave?
I think that, this famous piece, it's going to get resolved because people are going to notice it. But I think the victims here are going to be like independent artists who you've never heard of. When you go to search for their work, if their work was used to train on something, maybe they're not, maybe they're not notable enough that a lot of people are going to search for it and notice that the thing is AI, but their work is good enough, or it's just been promoted in such a way that it's easy for the AI to use it as a baseline. And then you search for that person, and then unfortunately you find AI generated art, and you're like, well, this is weird looking. And then now you think their art is weird looking, and people have 9 fingers.
Yeah. Yeah. I see what you're saying. The artist is famous enough, people are going to pick this up. And it seemed like the fix, I don't know if it was fixed within the time that the article was posted. This is from 404 Media, not my usual source, but I think it's several days old. So it was definitely fixed by the time that I got to it. And they talked about or Google basically responded to the reports of this, saying that, they try to put up the correct information, and make sure verify everything's correct. But because it's pulling from a wide net of websites and stuff, some things could go wrong. And this is something that's famous enough that they'll go in and manually fix the problem. But like you said, if it's some smaller artist, they're not going to make that fix, or may not even know that there's a problem.
Right. Yeah. It's always the same thing, right? If you have it's just like dealing with social media. If you have your account hacked or anything like that, if you're a person of note, it gets fixed within a few hours, and if you're not, you may never get your account back. It's the same. It's the same thing. It's like, do you have even, I'm assuming this is old art, but I'm not sure. I don't know if this is.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry, I forgot to mention. This is like Renaissance painting,
right? So they can't. They don't personally.
Late
They can't
15th century.
They can't personally complain or whatever. But enough art critics or whatever, or people who are into art, saw this. And it's a famous enough painting that it was taken care of. Yeah,
it's one of the most famous paintings, that's been made. So, and although I should point out, this, when you do a search for Hieronymus Bosch, it does the little tile thing, where it shows more information because he's a famous artist. It actually has that extra information, and that's where the painting is popping up, which is exactly where you would not want it to show up, right? But that's where it's showing up. But if you had another artist who's not as well known, they wouldn't have that tile as well. So I don't know. I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing, basically.
Yeah. I mean, we'll keep an eye on this stuff because this is music and art as it pertains to AI have come up a lot on this show, actually.
Yes.
That's because we're interested in art and music. I don't know. I hope they get this figured out because, we had both of the images up, and the real painting certainly looked a lot better than the AI generated one. The AI generated one almost looked like, I don't know, it looked like a video game about space or something. Thanks for checking out How the Tech Are You? This is a weekly-ish show. Make sure you've liked and subscribed on YouTube. And if you found this on the podcatcher of your choice, make sure that you follow on the podcatcher. You can find out more about Echoplex Media at echoplexmedia.com. And if you get some value out of anything we do, click that support link at the top of the website and find your favorite way to support. There should be links to other YouTube stuff approximately where my fingers. Thanks for listening and have a great tech and week.